Now, as Kamala Harris ramps up her last-minute media blitz, Donald Trump has joined comedian Andrew Schulz on his podcast Flagrant, and Trump was in fine form joking about Joe Biden's ability to fall asleep at the beach.
When you're 82, typically bathing suits aren't going to make you look great. You're not going to be enhanced, all right? It's just one of those things. I can't be sure about that, but typically, you know.
Depends what he's packing. He could.
I don't know what the hell he's packing, but I don't want to, and I don't want to know either. I don't know, but he has an ability to fall asleep while on camera. He can lie down on one of those things, and in minutes he's stone cold out.
Kosha, he also gave an insight into consequential matters, including his relationship with various world leaders. His comments about Modi were particularly interesting. He said he's as tough as nails.
He's the nicest human being, but we had a couple of occasions where somebody was threatening India. I said, let me help. I'm very good with those people. Let me help. I will do it. I will do it. And I will do anything necessary. We've defeated them for hundreds of years.
Wow.
He was talking about a certain country. Okay? You can probably guess the country.
Can't fathom which.
You know the country. But I said, whoa, what happened there? What happened? So, no, they're all tough and they're all smart. And some are very good people. He's a good person. There's some are good people and some aren't good people. But they're all at the top of their game.
Kosha, just a world apart from what we see with Kamala's podcast appearance, whether it's Call Her Daddy, where she was just giving platitudes, just doing the usual messaging that she would do on CNN or anywhere else. She didn't seem to relax and understand the medium. And even with Stephen Colbert, there just wasn't authenticity there. They're just very different. And I do wonder whether these appearances they're doing on podcasts and platforms we don't normally see candidates is going to have a real impact leading up to that poll date on November 5.
I think that's the open question. It remains to be seen, but it is clear that Trump, his sense of humor, I've always said, is actually very underrated. He actually really is quite funny if people are able to look past the various quirks of his personality that many people don't like. He's actually really funny, and he has that common touch where he's able to just go and engage with people from all sorts of different ages and generations and formats and bob and weave between making a joke of how when you're 82 you probably shouldn't be wearing a bathing suit in public to talking about world affairs and Prime Minister Modi of India and everything in between. And you're right, she does come across as more, I've used this word, synthetic or inauthentic or manufactured, where she's sort of got these programming notes in her head, you can see it, and she just keeps going back to those phrases or catchphrases or buzzwords that we've heard so many times, as opposed to being able to go with the flow. I think the fact that Trump is going on these podcasts, and even Kamala Harris would call her daddy, is going to be interesting to see. Is it going to get out younger voters? These are typically listeners of these media outlets who don't show up to vote in general as much. And if we see a little bit of a lift in this election of the young vote, I do think that some of it probably could be attributed to the fact that they've really broadened the landscape of media outlets that they speak to, as opposed to just sticking with the 5 corporate media outlets.
Now to another knucklehead moment from Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, who said the US needs to get rid of the Electoral College. The comments were made during his speech at a fundraiser at the home of far-left California Governor Gavin Newsom. The Harris-Walz campaign has walked back those comments already, saying in a statement that Walz believes that every vote matters in the Electoral College and that he was merely commenting to a crowd of strong supporters about how the campaign is built to win 270 electoral votes. I don't know how they can explain that comment in those terms, but Tim Walz just seems to be a walking, talking disaster. Every time he's in front of a microphone, something goes wrong, whether it's a debate, an interview, or at a fundraiser here.
Yes, and it maybe calls into question how much vetting had been done when you have this truncated campaign and she's just basically came out of nowhere, Kamala on the ticket in 75 days. Maybe this is a consequence of that. Not that Tim Walz hasn't been around. He has been for a while, but not on the national stage. In terms of the Electoral College thing, the Democrat Party has been crying about that for a long time because they do tend to win the popular vote even if they lose the Electoral College. Hillary Clinton famously had that happen to her and made sort of similar jabs. They talk about packing the Supreme Court, which is another thing that they flirt with, where if you don't like the current balance, you can have more judges just added to it to change the ratio. They talk about giving statehood to Puerto Rico, which would also go to damaging the Electoral College in its current state. So I think that is a belief held in many corners of the Democrat Party, and he just let it come out.
Yep, he said the quiet bit out loud. He's done that a few times. And this is what's so remarkable about this election, because Trump is presented as this threat to democracy, threat to norms, threat to the republic, but it's the Democrats, as you've just explained, who are challenging everything from the legitimacy of the Supreme Court to the Electoral College system. Now, 60 Minutes has come under intense criticism. We talked about this last night. It seems they've tried to save Kamala Harris, removing one of her most incoherent answers from what was aired on Monday evening in the US. Here's a preview clip that 60 Minutes themselves posted on Sunday. It's her full answer, which was widely mocked.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But here's what viewers actually saw on Monday night on television.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
How do you explain that, Kosha?
The power of editing. It can take the rambling and the verbose and make it look more coherent, even though I will say even the edited piece had far too many words. Like, she always uses 10 to 12 words where one word would suffice, and really effective communicators are good at using fewer words because you make the point sharper. It also goes to the point of how there are two realities, and there's sort of the younger group or the more high information consumers out there who live in social media and on the internet and on X who did see and will see those unedited comments. They went viral. And then you've got the more traditional, maybe more baby boomers, people still consuming only corporate media and television media who will see that edited piece.
They'll be none the wiser, Kosha. They'll be none the wiser. Thank you so much for your time this evening.